the Iowa caucus and First in the Nation primary are upon us. We'll be in New Hampshire that day and the days leading up to it. Until then, it's crunch time. And this past weekend's First in the Nation town hall in Nashua presented a unique opportunity. Although all the GOP presidential wannabes were invited, 4 did not attend, including national frontrunners Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. And as Adam Riley reports, that meant opportunity for the rest of the pack.
Without Donald Trump sucking all the oxygen out of the room, the First in the Nation presidential town hall gave candidates who've struggled to get traction a chance to make their pitch.
Donald Trump believes and admires the single-payer system. That's Bernie Sanders' position.
Of that group, it was Jeb Bush who struck the sharpest anti-Trump note.
It is not strong to insult women. It is not strong. It is not a sign of strength when you insult Hispanics.
Maybe Bush was so aggressive because his campaign has fallen so far short of expectations, or because Trump has bashed him repeatedly. But he wasn't alone in attacking Trump directly.
We have a candidate who may or may not be leading in the polls who tells you he's going to fix things. Give him power.
And we have people like Donald Trump sitting outside the system making billions by buying off people like Hillary Clinton.
For the record, Bush, Rand Paul, and Carly Fiorina are all in the second tier right now. John Kasich is faring better.
This process of New Hampshire is fantastic.
Which might be why his only reference to Trump was this sly dig.
Where people, they really don't care if you're rich or famous or it doesn't matter. They want to look at you, they want to poke you. So maybe take a little smell once in a while.
In other words, a vote for Trump would be very un-New Hampshire-y. And if New Hampshire GOP Chair Jennifer Horn is right, that might be a winning strategy.
It's only just now at this moment that the larger population of New Hampshire voters are starting to think about who am I actually going to vote for. It's that big block of undecided voters for the last 6 months that are obviously going to decide what happens here.
It's harder to figure out Marco Rubio's approach. His New Hampshire campaign seems stalled, but he didn't reference Trump once.
The next leader of the free world is going to have to tell us right up front. Are you going for the Broncos or for the Patriots?
Maybe he's waiting for Trump to self-destruct. But if it hasn't happened already, there's no reason to think it will. Adam Riley, WGBH News.
That town hall was Trump-free, but our discussion won't be. Joining me now are 2 local mayors. Bob Hedlund, former state senator, newly sworn in mayor of Weymouth. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Mayor. And he's supporting Rand Paul, I should say. And Seti Warren is the mayor of Newton and former U.S. Senate candidate. He's a Democrat who's backing Hillary Clinton. Good to see you, too.
Good to see you.
Barack Obama called him when he was elected. Did he call you?
No, but Rand Paul will be when he gets elected.
Okay. You're both mayors, Republican, Democrat. As I said at the open, there's a guy who's been both a Republican and a Democrat who leaked this week to the New York Times he may be running. Before we say his name, let's see what he had to say to Christiane Amanpour at CNN just 2 months ago in November.
If I thought I could win, I would, but you can't win. Thank you. I'll be very happy running my company and my foundation.
So is there a place, Bob Hedlund, for a pro-choice, anti-gun, anti-sugar, pro-Wall Street billionaire in this race?
I would hope so, but I don't know if there's a place for any third-party candidate nowadays. Ever since the 2 parties have kind of monopolized the process, they've taken over the debate through the Presidential Debates Commission. Once Ross Perot got that 16%, they saw a danger in that, and they've taken over that process. I think it's very hard for a third-party candidate.
When you say "I hope so," meaning that you think there's enough dissatisfaction that there may be a space for an independent candidate?
I would hope that we have a greater opportunity in the future for third-party candidates. I think choice is better, and I think there's problems with both parties right now. So,
how about you, Mayor Warren?
Look, I think Mayor Bloomberg did a great job in New York in a lot of respects, but I think Hillary Clinton, it's clear that she has the experience, she has the substantive answers to really difficult problems out there around the economy, investment in infrastructure and education, things that we need to address in our cities right now.
Bloomberg thinks she's moving too far to the left. That's one of the things that concerns him about her position in this race. You do not.
I think Hillary Clinton's had a great record of progressive, substantive answers over the course of her career, starting back to the Children's Defense Fund, to her time at the White House, Senator and Secretary of State, to some of the hardest problems out there right now.
You know how we know there's only a week to go? Remember when everybody was nice to each other and nobody cares about those damn emails? Well, that was then. This is now.
I'm beating you. So, you shouldn't misrepresent how well you're doing. Now he's doing better. He's got probably a 4 or 5% chance.
Listen, I've spent my entire life defending the Constitution before the U.S. Supreme Court, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to be taking legal advice from Donald Trump.
I think Secretary Clinton knows that what she says is very disingenuous.
I have made it clear, based on Senator Sanders' own record, that he has voted with the NRA.
You've received over $600,000 in speaking fees from Goldman Sachs in 1 year.
Senator Sanders, you're the only one on this stage that voted to deregulate the financial market.
And I'm disappointed that Secretary Clinton's campaign has made this criticism. It's a Republican criticism.
So, Mayor Hedlund, the issue's been joined only a week more for Republicans to say, well, no, Trump's just a flash in the pan. He's up 11, 5, and 11 in Iowa in the most recent poll. He's replaced Cruz. This is the real deal, no?
I would have to say certainly, yeah. I mean, obviously the crowds that he's drawing and just the staying power that he's had and doing it in a very efficient way in terms of money. I mean, he hasn't really spent a lot of money based on the return that he's getting to this point.
And the establishment Republicans so hate Ted Cruz that a lot of them who aren't crazy about Donald Trump seem to be coalescing around Trump, no?
Well, I don't know. It depends on which establishment Republicans you're talking about, because you've got the establishment so-called conservatives that just did the hit piece in National Review, and they're kind of like the House.
Well, how about people like
the
Bob
House
Dole,
establishment
Trent
conservatives?
Lott was with me last
so
week.
I don't know if there's a clear pattern there. Some like Trump, some like Cruz, some don't like Cruz, some don't like Trump.
You know, the conventional wisdom, Mayor Warren, in this whole thing was, okay, Cruz and Trump are here, but there's going to be one establishment Republican who's going to emerge to challenge him. Have you seen any indication that that's about to happen?
Not at all.
So what does that say to you?
I think what it says to me, and I don't want to get into the Republican
Feel free.
primary, but
I'll get into yours. Don't worry.
What it says to me is that Donald Trump has touched upon some anger in the Republican Party. I think he's tapped into that, and I think he's run the kind of campaign that has energized a lot of people, though very destructive for America.
You both think he could be the nominee of the Republican Party, correct?
I certainly believe so, yeah.
You know, speaking of anger, one of the most interesting polling numbers I see is, you know who's the second choice of a lot of Trump voters? The guy you're not supporting on the Democratic side. He has now taken at least gotten into a tie in Iowa. He's leading your candidate, Hillary Clinton, by a significant amount in New Hampshire. Do you know who the only candidate ever elected president was who lost both Iowa and New Hampshire?
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, exactly.
Right.
If Hillary Clinton loses both those races, is she still a viable candidate, or does it start cascading? Sort of a la Obama, even though Obama obviously lost New Hampshire. Is it 2008 to a degree all over again? Does that not worry you?
It's not 2008 all over again.
Why not?
I have a lot of respect for Bernie Sanders, but look, Secretary Clinton has run a great campaign in both of those states. She said, and we all knew, this is going to be a very challenging race. There's a lot of people out there that are grappling. I've been up to New Hampshire multiple times for Secretary Clinton. I've talked to the people on the doors. They are really grappling with some tough issues. I think that she will win, if not both, one of the two, and I think she's going to be the nominee.
But how could she be losing? She won New Hampshire last time, at least in one poll. She's getting crushed in New Hampshire. The candidate who you say is the most qualified, she's running a great campaign, she's great on the issues. Why do the people in New Hampshire apparently not know what you know?
I think it's early. I think polling does not necessarily describe what's going to happen on the day of the election. And she's got great organizations in both states. I'm pretty confident she's going to do well in both.
Is there a piece of Sanders that appeals to you in a weird sort of way?
Yeah, I like what he has to say about trade, and I like what he has to say about some of the income inequality. I don't agree with his solutions. I don't think we need a socialist approach to some of those problems. I think he hits on the root cause when we look at some of the trade deals we have done and our trade policies that have eviscerated the middle class, sent our manufacturing base overseas. I disagree with Seti in terms of whether he believes that Hillary Clinton is a good candidate, but I think he's right that this is not a repeat.
What if Sanders wins both the caucus and New Hampshire?
Well, here's the difference. I mean, first of all, Bernie Sanders is no Barack Obama, number one. And I think that the Democrat establishment has such a concern in having someone who may be honeymooned in Moscow as their nominee that you'll see strings pulled or what have you. You'll see the process.
Moscow too. Remember that? He did. I think he won an election.
But I mean, look, I don't know if I hate to buy into that and be a pundit telling people at home who's electable and who isn't, because I hear it on the Republican side and it angers me. But I do find it a stretch to think that Bernie Sanders could win a general election race. So I think the Democrats are going to be very cautious about that. The establishment Democrats, I think they'll do whatever it takes to ensure that Hillary's the nominee.
Mayor Hedlund. Mayor, it's so strange to say.
I know. It sounds strange to hear it.
I wish you luck, Mayor Warren.
Great to be with you.
Great to see you,
Thank
too.
you.
Gentlemen, thank you.